Oh, shoot. Okay. So we left off on Daniel chapter 5. Okay, so so at the last of that broadcast, it did not get anything that I said on there. So what I was going to do was just do a recap of what chapter 5 was. Okay, so basically what happened was Nebuchadnezzar he he got in trouble by God, and then he went insane for 7 years. I believe it's 7 years. And then after this, but between, during that 7 years, his son took over, and his name was Belshazzar. And so, Belshazzar, he basically knew everything that happened, right? And so, after when he took over, he was, I guess he was worshiping gods of gold, silver, and, jewels, money, like fake gods. And so, since he was worshiping them gods, there was a angel that was sent out to write a message for them to, for Belshazzar to read. And so the message said Mene, Mene, Tekel, and Parson. And nobody could figure out what this writing meant. And so they finally found Daniel, and Daniel was able to interpret the writing. And the writing says, Mene means numbered. God has numbered the days of your reign and has brought it to an end. Tekel means weighed. You have been weighed on the balances and have not measured up. Parson means divided. Your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. And then, as Belshazzar's command, Daniel was dressed in purple robes. A gold chain was hung around his neck. So basically, since Daniel was able to interpret it, he was given a, reward for that. And then after all of this, Belshazzar was killed. And so, and then Darius the Mede took over. And so after that, and so what I was basically trying to explain, and that's basically the story of chapter 5. And so what I was trying to explain was that Belshazzar, he knew what his father did, and what his father went through. He knew that his father went insane, and he knew of, Daniel's God and everything. He knew of these things, and he still chose to disobey and worship other gods. And what I was trying to say was, this reminds me of Judas Iscariot. So Judas Iscariot, he knew who Jesus was. He knew the miracles. He saw the power. He saw all of this. He knew exactly who Jesus was. Jesus even gave them, the disciples, the authority to cast out demons. So Jesus, just imagine Jesus giving you power on earth to go to a whole different city and to clean house, like basically cast out all of these demonic forces and stuff. And they were basically, that's exactly what they were doing. So they went there, and being Judas, like, if you're Judas Iscariot and you're casting out demons and stuff, and you're like, wow, like, why in the heck would you say, hey, I'm going to, betray Jesus? Well, like, I didn't get why Judas did that, but anyway, so even with all of that, he still disobeyed and betrayed Jesus. And I think it's because he loved money more than God, because he used to steal out of the money bag. And this is a very important reason of why we should love God first, and then love our neighbors. Like God tells us we should love him first for that main reason of doing something like that. Like if you have the love of money or the love of anything in your heart before God, and like I'll use this as an example. An Xbox game. Like if you're playing Xbox and that's the first thing you think about every day, Xbox. Let's get on the Xbox, play this video game, and and then later on you think, oh, I'm gonna pray and do my little prayer at the end of the day when you go to bed. You know, well that's you put your Xbox before God, and say that Xbox broke, then your heart is broken over an Xbox, over something that you could you could literally get money, buy a new one, and be okay. But instead, you're so upset, you're so mad over a darn Xbox. See, you get what I'm saying? It's like, or say that you worked very, very hard and you got some money in your pocket, which, okay, I understand this. Somebody steals your money, right? Okay, how would that make you feel? I would feel mad and upset, yes. But the first thing that we should do in that situation is pray. Go to God and pray. You know what I'm saying? Because every single time that something happens to a person, a child of God or something, then there is always something. God will always help that. Help you, There was a time where I didn't have money to pay for something. And all I did was worry and worry, right? And then I eventually got help from some person, just got help from there and was able to pay my bills, but I was still mad. You know what I'm saying? And what I should have done was thank God, but instead I was still mad because I couldn't pay the bill, because now I got to pay this person back. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like I didn't learn my lesson. I learned now. I was like in my 20s when that happened, but nowadays I understand, like, that's not the end of the world. If you miss a bill, it's not the end of the world at all. You're just going to be behind until you can catch up. You know what I mean? And that's what we should start realizing, is like, it's not going to hurt us. Just get caught up on it. And other than that, ask for help. And people are out there, they will help you. You do not have to carry it on your own. You do not have to carry all that weight on your own. There's always a person out there that's willing to help you if you just ask, if you just talk, and pray. And that's all we should do in a moment of where we're at. We should just always pray to God. And so that's the whole lesson of that, is just to put God first and start praying. Pray more. Read your Bible more. And I guess things will work out. It doesn't just work out like that. It takes time. But if you continue on that journey, you'll figure out that you were worried for no reason. So that was where were we? Chapter 5. Now we're on chapter 6. So we're going to start chapter 6. Let me press play.
Chapter 6. Darius the Mede decided to divide the kingdom into 120 provinces, and he appointed a high officer to rule over each province. The king also chose Daniel and 2 others as administrators to supervise the high officers and protect the king's interests. Daniel soon proved himself more capable than all the other administrators and high officers. Because of Daniel's great ability, the king made plans to place him over the entire empire. Then the other administrators and high officers began searching for some fault in the way Daniel was handling government affairs, but they couldn't find anything to criticize or condemn. He was faithful, always responsible, and completely trustworthy. So they concluded, our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. So the administrators and high officers went to the king and said, "Long live King Darius! We are all in agreement, we administrators, officials, high officers, advisors, and governors, that the king should make a law that will be strictly enforced. Give orders that for the next 30 days any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions. And now, your majesty, issue and sign this law so it cannot be changed, an official law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be revoked." So King Darius signed the law. But when Daniel learned that the law had been signed, he went home and knelt down as usual in his upstairs room, with its windows open toward Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he had always done, giving thanks to his God. Then the officials went together to Daniel's house and found him praying and asking for God's help. So they went straight to the king and reminded him about his law. "Did you not sign a law that for the next 30 days any person who prays to anyone, divine or human, except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the den of lions?" "Yes," the king replied, "that decision stands. It is an official law of the Medes and Persians that cannot be revoked." Then they told the king, "That man, Daniel, one of the captives from Judah, is ignoring you and your law. He still prays to his God 3 times a day." Hearing this, the king was deeply troubled, and he tried to think of a way to save Daniel. He spent the rest of the day looking for a way to get Daniel out of this predicament. In the evening, the men went together to the king and said, "Your Majesty, you know that according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, no law that the king signs can be changed." So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be arrested and thrown into the den of lions. The king said to him, "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. The king sealed the stone with his own royal seal and the seals of his nobles, so that no one could rescue Daniel. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night fasting. He refused his usual entertainment and couldn't sleep at all that night. Very early the next morning, the king got up and hurried out to the lion's den. When he got there, he called out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God, whom you serve so faithfully, able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me. For I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be lifted from the den. Not a scratch was found on him, for he had trusted in his God. Then the king gave orders to arrest the men who had maliciously accused Daniel. He had them thrown into the lion's den, along with their wives and children. The lions leaped on them and tore them apart before they even hit the floor of the den. Then King Darius sent this message to the people of every race and nation and language throughout the world. "Peace and prosperity to you. I decree that everyone throughout my kingdom should tremble with fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and he will endure forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed, and his rule will never end. He rescues and saves his people. He performs miraculous signs and wonders in the heavens and on earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
Okay. Okay, let me see. So what I got from chapter 6, let me go here. Okay, so on chapter 6, Daniel, he was being a righteous man, but he had enemies. And even though he never did anything wrong toward anyone, he was in trouble for praying. And these men were jealous and also scared of Daniel because they thought if Daniel found out about what they were doing, like stealing, they would steal tax money, like, you know, they weren't always, you know, they would have people pay more than what they were paying for taxes, and then they will steal the little more, the excess of the taxes is what I'm trying to say, and they would take that home with them. And so if Daniel would have found that out, he would have told Darius, and Darius would have believed Daniel. You know, he would have took Daniel's word because Daniel never did anything wrong. And so they had this evil, you know, intent of killing Daniel. They wanted him to be unalive only because of, you know, he was a good person, and they were scared. And so out of their evil intentions, they end up getting, it was kind of like it came back on them, you know, and God ended up rescuing Daniel from the lion's den. And why I think he got rescued was, one reason was because Daniel still had things that he needed to do for, you know, for his life. Like he was the main one that had visions and dreams and stuff like that, and he was the one that needed to be around. And so just like he saved what are their names, his friends, let me see, where is it? God saved his friends from the furnace. There we are. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those names, them. He saved them too from the fire. And so of course he was going to save Daniel, you know. And so what I think is the lesson is when we are in trouble and we are completely innocent of any crime, then just have faith that God will rescue you. Pray. You know, this is the main lesson, is pray. Pray, read your Bible, you know? I mean, it's just two simple things that you got to do, but it's just like, if we make this a daily thing to where we're doing it daily, maybe it'll become a habit, and and then when we are in trouble, we'll know, hey, we should pray, you know, to God, because he's going to save us. And so that's where the lesson is just keep praying, keep reading our Bibles. Okay, let's go to Daniel 7. I think this is about the vision that he had, And so let's hear about that.
Chapter 7. Earlier, during the first year of King Belshazzar's reign in Babylon, Daniel had a dream and saw visions as he lay in his bed. He wrote down the dream, and this is what he saw. In my vision that night, I, Daniel, saw a great storm churning the surface of a great sea, with strong winds blowing from every direction. Then 4 huge beasts came up out of the water, each different from the others. The first beast was like a lion with eagle's wings. As I watched, its wings were pulled off, and it was left standing with its 2 hind feet on the ground, like a human being. And it was given a human mind. Then I saw a second beast, and it looked like a bear. It was rearing up on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And I heard a voice saying to it, "Get up, devour the flesh of many people." Then the third of these strange beasts appeared, and it looked like a leopard. It had 4 birds' wings on its back, and it had 4 heads. Great authority was given to this beast. Then, in my vision that night, I saw a 4th beast, terrifying, dreadful, and very strong. It devoured and crushed its victims with huge iron teeth and trampled their remains beneath its feet. It was different from any of the other beasts, and it had 10 horns. As I was looking at the horns, suddenly another small horn appeared among them. 3 of the first horns were torn out by the roots to make room for it. This little horn had eyes like human eyes, and a mouth that was boasting arrogantly. I watched as thrones were put in place, and the Ancient One sat down to judge. His clothing was as white as snow, his hair like purest wool. He sat on a fiery throne with wheels of blazing fire, and a river of fire was pouring out, flowing from his presence. Millions of angels ministered to him. Many millions stood to attend him. Then the court began its session, and the books were opened. I continued to watch because I could hear the little horn's boastful speech. I kept watching until the 4th beast was killed, and its body was destroyed by fire. The other 3 beasts had their authority taken from them, but they were allowed to live a while longer. As my vision continued that night, I saw someone like a son of man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient One and was led into his presence. He was given authority, honor, and sovereignty over all the nations of the world, so that people of every race and nation and language would obey him. His rule is eternal. It will never end. His kingdom will never be destroyed. I, Daniel, was troubled by all I had seen, and my visions terrified me. So I approached one of those standing beside the throne and asked him what it all meant. He explained it to me like this. These 4 huge beasts represent 4 kingdoms that will arise from the earth. But in the end, the holy people of the Most High will be given the kingdom, and they will rule forever and ever. Then I wanted to know the true meaning of the 4th beast, the one so different from the others and so terrifying. It had devoured and crushed its victims with iron teeth and bronze claws, trampling their remains beneath its feet. I also asked about the 10 horns on the 4th beast's head, and the little horn that came up afterward and destroyed 3 of the other horns. This horn had seemed greater than the others, and it had human eyes and a mouth that was boasting arrogantly. As I watched, this horn was waging war against God's holy people and was defeating them, until the Ancient One, the Most High, came and judged in favor of his holy people. Then the time arrived for the holy people to take over the kingdom. Then he said to me, "This 4th beast is the 4th world power that will rule the earth. It will be different from all the others. It will devour the whole world, trampling and crushing everything in its path. Its 10 horns are 10 kings who will rule that empire. Then another king will arise, different from the other 10, who will subdue 3 of them. He will defy the Most High and oppress the holy people of the Most High. He will try to change their sacred festivals and laws, and they will be placed under his control for a time, times, and half a time. But then the court will pass judgment, and all his power will be taken away and completely destroyed. Then the sovereignty, power, and greatness of all the kingdoms under heaven will be given to the holy people of the Most High. His kingdom will last forever, and all rulers will serve and obey him. That was the end of the vision. I, Daniel, was terrified by my thoughts, and my face was pale with fear. But I kept these things to myself. Chapter 8.
Okay. So what I got from that, chapter 7, was, okay, so there's going to be a time where there's going to be a power of control, and in this one, there was 4 different powers of control and and government system, and then what I got from that was Jesus came and destroyed the 4 beast powers, and I think that the 4th beast would be like, we won't have our freedom anymore like we have now. They will tell us what to eat. They'll tell us what to buy. They'll tell us what to wear, what to say, what to think. And, so we will not be able to, if I want to say Jesus is Lord, I will probably get thrown in jail or killed or something, and so that will be in the future, and that will be the time where this will be the 4th beast system, is because we will not be allowed to read our Bibles. We will not have, they will have total control of everyone, and that will not be right. And that's something that we have to continue fighting for in America. Is we do not want to have someone telling us, we do not want to vote for the wrong president, is what I'm trying to say. And when they're in their presidency, they will make it to where we cannot read the Bible and we cannot go to church and, stuff like that. We cannot preach the word, and so we need to stand up and start voting and get into politics. You don't have to get into it just so strongly. But what I'm saying is we need to pay attention, because the 4th beast system, or whatever that beast system is, it's going to come in and it's going to try to destroy the entire world. But what God has planned is that Jesus is going to save us in that time. And so just like we really need to be mindful of, making sure that our future, because I don't know what's going on in these other countries, but I know that in the UK, it used to be free, and now it's ran over by other people, and I don't know, they can't preach outside. They're getting thrown in jail, and I don't want that to happen here. And so we really do need to make sure that we're voting for the right person, and we're continue to pray for America too. And we should start praying for other countries, because in Nigeria. They're getting killed for it's a lot of stuff that's happening around America. And I'm starting to feel like we might be the last ones that have our freedom. And once our freedom's taken away, then they got the whole entire world. And now it's that time, now it's the book of Revelations is basically what I'm saying. And so we do not want that. And so we do, like I said, we got to continue standing up and fighting for what's right. Let's start for Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. And I'm going to see where that leads us. Now, I don't know exactly what will happen, but I just know that if something changes and you feel like that's not right, then pray about it, because I think that prayer is the best thing that we could ever have to have a relationship. It's kind of like picking up the phone and dialing Jesus, it's like calling heaven and talking to Jesus on that line, and so that's all we do. Like that's what prayer is to me, so let's start chapter 8.
During the 3rd year of King Belshazzar's reign, I, Daniel, saw another vision, following the one that had already appeared to me. In this vision, I was at the fortress of Susa, in the province of Elam, standing beside the Ule River. As I looked up, I saw a ram with 2 long horns standing beside the river. One of the horns was longer than the other, even though it had grown later than the other one. The ram butted everything out of his way to the west, to the north, and to the south, and no one could stand against him or help his victims. He did as he pleased and became very great. While I was watching, suddenly a male goat appeared from the west, crossing the land so swiftly that he didn't even touch the ground. This goat, which had one very large horn between its eyes, headed toward the 2-horned ram that I had seen standing beside the river, rushing at him in a rage. The goat charged furiously at the ram and struck him, breaking off both his horns. Now the ram was helpless, and the goat knocked him down and trampled him. No one could rescue the ram from the goat's power. The goat became very powerful, but at the height of his power, his large horn was broken off. In the large horn's place grew 4 prominent horns pointing in the 4 directions of the earth. Then from one of the prominent horns came a small horn, whose power grew very great. It extended toward the south and the east, and toward the glorious land of Israel. Its power reached to the heavens, where it attacked the heavenly army, throwing some of the heavenly beings and some of the stars to the ground and trampling them. It even challenged the commander of heaven's army by canceling the daily sacrifices offered to him and by destroying his temple. The army of heaven was restrained from responding to this rebellion. So the daily sacrifice was halted and truth was overthrown. The horn succeeded in everything it did. Then I heard 2 holy ones talking to each other. One of them asked, "How long will the events of this vision last? How long will the rebellion that causes desecration stop the daily sacrifices? How long will the temple and heaven's army be trampled on?" The other replied, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the temple will be made right again." As I, Daniel, was trying to understand the meaning of this vision, someone who looked like a man stood in front of me, and I heard a human voice calling out from the Ule River, "Gabriel, tell this man the meaning of his vision." As Gabriel approached the place where I was standing, I became so terrified that I fell with my face to the ground. "Son of man," he said, "you must understand that the events you have seen in your vision relate to the time of the end." While he was speaking, I fainted and lay there with my face to the ground. But Gabriel roused me with a touch and helped me to my feet. Then he said, "I am here to tell you what will happen later in the time of wrath. What you have seen pertains to the very end of time. The two-horned ram represents the kings of Media and Persia. The shaggy male goat represents the king of Greece, and the large horn between his eyes represents the first king of the Greek Empire. The four prominent horns that replaced the one large horn show that the Greek Empire will break into 4 kingdoms, but none as great as the first. At the end of their rule, when their sin is at its height, a fierce king, a master of intrigue, will rise to power. He will become very strong, but not by his own power. He will cause a shocking amount of destruction and succeed in everything he does. He will destroy powerful leaders and devastate the holy people. He will be a master of deception and will become arrogant. He will destroy many without warning. He will even take on the prince of princes in battle. But he will be broken, though not by human power. This vision about the 2,300 evenings and mornings is true, but none of these things will happen for a long time, so keep this vision a secret. Then I, Daniel, was overcome and lay sick for several days. Afterward I got up and performed my duties for the king, but I was greatly troubled by the vision and could not understand it. Chapter 9.
Okay, it looks like I might have to end my live again, but before I end it, because it's starting to get loud. My kids are out there, and all I can hear is the TV blasting through. And I'm like, what is going on? So anyway, so here's chapter, where were we? Chapter 8. I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because it's just life. But anyway, so chapter 8, they mentioned a kingdom being taken over and everything. So Gabriel actually explained the vision, the angel. And I also was thinking in my mind that maybe it will be a kingdom that will take over the land, and maybe it could be a new religion that will force people to accept it over our true religion that we're supposed to, be. And so I think that this new religion, it will force people to accept it. And even though there's a lot of different religions, this one will probably take over the whole world, and will be forced to worship Satan, basically. I mean, but anyway, I think that's in Revelations anyway. But what it said was, let me see, where's that verse? They were after Israel is what that verse said. I can't remember. I'm on the wrong. Okay, hold on. I'm on the wrong chapter. They were after Israel, basically, and once they take Israel, then that's the thing. It's if they take Israel, then that's basically where the ending starts. And right now, like if you look at time now, a lot of people, a lot of countries are sitting here mad at Israel. I don't know why. I'm just like, okay, everyone makes mistakes, you know? We're not even that good. America has a lot of crap that's being exposed now that the government and everyone's been hiding for a while. I mean, all of this stuff is being exposed. So we're not even that good, you know, but but here we are. Everyone's trying to blame Israel and like if everyone like that's going to be the end is when people start turning on Israel. It says so in the book of Revelations is when the ending will happen. And but anyway, so I just think that once they take over every country, and I don't know who it's going to be, what new religion is going to be, what kingdom is going to be. All I know is it's going to happen, and they're going to take over the entire world, and we're going to be forced to, worship something that we don't want to worship. So, but that's what I got from that. Well, yep, that's it. And then I'm going to, I guess I'll do chapter 9 some other day. Let me see. We have 9, 10, 11, 12. I think we got like 13 chapters. No, it's 12 chapters. We have 12 chapters. And if y'all will, just leave in the comments, what do y'all think that chapter 8 was referring to? Because like I said, I don't really look into all of that. I just listen to the Bible and I think of what I think it could be. Now, I'm not for sure. Like I said, I don't know what kingdom or what time frame. And I know that there's people out there that can, calculate the time frame of what he meant by 2,300 evenings and mornings. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, like, is it days? Is it years? Is it decades? Like what exactly is the time frame? And who exactly would it be? On the fourth kingdom, because they reference where, like what did it say, the south or what, the kingdom. Let me see. Well, anyway, it says like the ram butted everything out of his way to the west, to the north, and to the south. So like, what exactly would that power be? And then also when the angel is talking about it, it's talking about, let me see. The goat represents the king of Greece. The two-horned ram represents the king of Media and Persia. And so And has this already happened yet? The Greek Empire. Like, are we already in this empire? Have it already happened? You know? And so that we could get a better meaning on exact time frame of that, because it might have already happened, because it's really not explaining. I don't know. It might have already happened, and we might be in that 2,300 year of when this is happening. I don't know. I'm not for sure. I don't do all of that looking it up. I have before, and then it just put me into, like, I don't know. It just kind of made me, I couldn't figure it out. It was like, okay, well, if this is what they meant, then what is it, And then people have different ways of going about it. I thought it was something else, and that's why I'm not referencing what I thought it was, because I could be wrong, and I don't want to, I don't want to say what I think it is and be wrong when somebody else has actually figured it out in truth, And so, but yeah, we can just talk about what we think it could be. So just leave that in the comments of what you think it is. And, but what I do think it's going to be a religion. Like, how would they take over the world? How would they? And I think it will be a kingdom. It will be a king that takes it over. But how would they? And I think it's going to be some religion that they force everyone to believe in, So that's what I think. All right, well, leave your comments, leave a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts of what chapter 8 could be.